What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Study Hall here on UFS University. My name's Tam, and I'm joined by
Travis TNT Tangerman.
We're on to topic 3 of the week, but before we get into it, this topic is brought to you by one of you, the good people. This is a shout out to Sean Bauman from the Chicago Playgroup. Shout out to my guy. He's subscribed on our Patreon at the $15 level. It's our second one ever. Let's go. We're moving up in the world.
Let's go.
And I asked him, "Hey, buddy, what's your topic?" And he's like, "The only thing I can think of is the playtesting leading up to UFS Worlds." And he gave this big, huge, long list of like, do y'all try to make expected metadecks and test against them? Do you go to Worlds playing your best possible character despite diversity? What do you do? Personally, I would say play your best deck unless Tim Kiefer's playing that character. Ha ha. All right, Sean. Real talk for a second. Don't you bring up Tim Keefe's name on this podcast, all right? Not after he boss moded me in the last event.
He manhandled
How
ya.
dare? He's just asking a bunch of UFSU faculty prep secrets. And Sean, that's what we're gonna do today. Travis, you've never been to a major,
Correct.
but you have played a bunch of other card games.
Yeah.
And if at any point, Tyler, you want to jump in and who's producing today, if you want to jump in and like be like, "Hey, you forgot this thing, you dumb idiot," by all
Big
means,
dumb
okay?
idiot.
How do you prep for going to an event, any event, not just obviously UFS specific, but like it does not have to pertain exactly to UFS.
Obviously, rigorous testing.
Rigorous.
Yeah. When I'm about to go to an event, I try to test almost every day, if not every day, for at least 6 hours or something along there. Because,
That's a lot of testing.
yeah, you need to make sure that not only your mechanics are polished, but your deck testing is at its maximum, so you know the exact ins and outs of everything and all the possible
loops.
interactions. Yeah.
Your loops, the
Yes.
tracks that you take.
Yes.
You think 6 hours is needed?
Yes. If you can't do
A day.
If you can't play your deck in your sleep, then you should not be taking that deck
Man,
to an event.
that's so crazy. That's like actually insane.
Because that's what I did when I was testing for my first Weiss regionals. Was I tested
How much you
almost? I did really bad because I ended up playing a deck that was not optimal at all. Because the deck that I was going to play, I forgot to bring with me, so I ended up playing an outdated set that was really bad. And then I had 2 other team members, but I ended up getting bailed on, so I had to team with randoms. It was the worst. Yeah.
Sounds like a real bad time.
Yeah. But Vanguard was fun, and when I was testing for that, which was also about the same amount of time that I did for Weiss, I ended up my team didn't do
you
good,
tested for 12 hours a day.
but I went 7-1 myself. I only lost to the guy who won the entire thing for teams.
I know what that's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I don't think you need 6 hours of testing, but it is something you should be doing on a regular basis. So like cramming for an event is not good, but having a designated playtime weekly is fine. I think as long as you're getting in a solid 2 hours every twice a week, I think that's fine. As long as the testing is like real, at which we're gonna get into like what constitutes real testing. So if you want to go, I'm gonna use this word even though you think it's the average, overboard and hit for 6 hours every day. Like, do you know how? Like, we got jobs, man. I gotta do things and stuff.
Yeah.
I can't do anything for 6 hours a day. I can't even pick my nose for 6 hours a day.
Well,
I'll pull back a nub.
I would hope that you did not do that for 6 hours a day, anyways. But
I'm just saying, it's about as useful as UFS testing. The other big thing that you do, honestly, is just scroll through Ultra and think about like what your deck does versus the top decks. What's your good matchup? What's your neutral matchup? What's your bad matchup?
yeah.
How does your deck survive in the mirror match? That's an important thing to look at.
What-
What's the powerful rogue deck? Like and by rogue I mean, what do you do versus Heidi?
Yeah.
If your deck can't beat Heidi, maybe you shouldn't play it.
Yeah.
That happened to Garrett Brett at Nationals. He fought against a Heidi deck in top 8 and somehow took that deck to game 3. But like he went in knowing I've lost this game. It's like a 95-5 matchup in Heidi's favor, just because of the way that my deck works.
Yeah, it also happened to the guy that was playing Keith Disborough in Chicago. He ran into 2 Heidis, I think. Was it 2 Heidis?
Nah, I definitely wasn't.
Was it? It was.
He ran into a Heidi.
He ran into a Heidi. I think he said he ran into his worst matchups and just couldn't win because against Heidi, there's no way that Keith can like actually win that game unless you
Sack all the mechs.
Yeah, the Heidi player gets really unlucky and checks all the mechs so you can remove them, or just all of one mech so you can remove them with fatality. But that's about the only way that you actually win that matchup.
Yeah, there's the other thing is communication. I think that's a really important thing, and not just communication with like yourself, but communication with like other play groups.
Yep.
Saying, "Hey, what are you guys playing? What do your decks look like?" Like one of my favorite people to swap lists with is Jesse Cervini. I think Jesse Cervini has got something going on inside of his brain that he sees things that I don't. He's got a list that he showed me right now, and I don't want to give away his tech just in case he's not like really sharing it. Whenever Soul Calibur drops, and I'm like, hey man, I didn't think this character was very good before, but like this looks actually pretty playable. Like this looks really cool, and just him showing me that. Whether it's a fun deck, competitive deck, just like puts a small spark in my brain, which is why like and here's the shameless plug. If you go on Patreon and you jump on our Discord server and you want to talk to the UFSU crew, if you want to talk to the faculty, jump on. We'll take questions anytime.
Yeah.
Like anytime. Travis loves trolling Discord.
Yes.
And he wants to talk nothing but UFS for 6 hours a day apparently.
Exactly. Sharpen those skills.
How do you decide on a deck?
How do I decide on a deck?
How do you pick it? Is it what you want to play? Is it the best deck?
So in other card games, I just play.
I'm talking about UFS right now.
Okay,
You're going to Worlds.
UFS,
You're going to Worlds. What are you taking?
in UFS, I play what I consider to be the best deck, not necessarily what like the general community thinks is the best deck.
Okay.
So like if I do enough playtesting with this deck, and let's say I have a consistent 70% win rate or something along those lines, 60%, whatever. If my win rate is over 50%, I will play that deck and I will continue testing with it until the day of for as much as I can.
So you're going to take this Fey deck apart since it just lost to Yoshimitsu twice?
That deck is not very good. It's also not the deck that I'd be playing for Worlds.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's fine.
I
Whatever.
already know what I'm going to be playing for Worlds if I go, and it's Sublimate and Grow. I think that deck is actually just insane.
Be careful. You're about to put Christmas to sleep.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. I won't ever say it again, I swear.
It's fine. Talk about what you want to talk about. So whenever I bring a deck, I got to bring something that I'm comfortable with, and I believe that diversity is a massive thing. I have never played a top-tier crazy diversity matchup. The hardest diversity I've ever played was Vega back 2 nationals ago versus
Alexa.
Andrew Alexa. And that was an incredible hard matchup. But besides that, I played Dr. Wily, which there was like I think one other Dr. Wily player at that event at Worlds. I've played Say, which there were 0 or 1 other Say at the event, and I played Scorpion, which there were 2 other Scorpions at the event.
Yep.
I think this year might be the year that I run into the diversity gauntlet and like actually try and like throw my hat into that at a major. I've never really done that. Yeah, it's I think diversity is important, and if you're not prepared for it, even if it is like if we look back in the last topic, or I guess 2 topics ago, when we talk about Phil Birch's Air Flash Toolbox deck, he would just spin the wheel and figure out what character is the best for the best matchup. So like pick your bad character like Shadow Man and throw him up front, the character that's not going to be represented very much, and then run the deck. Like my Say deck could have been played under Turbo Man into Say. If Say was that important, or vice versa, if Turbo Man was that good, or my Scorpion deck was actually had Vega in the sideboard because it was originally crafted as a Vega deck, and I thought Scorpion was going to dodge diversity a little better. I think playing diversity is good, but if the character you're trying to not get diversified with can't win 60% of your games, you shouldn't play it.
Correct.
It is your starting character, and game 1 matters. Game 1 matters so much.
Yeah.
Game one is so important because if you win game 1, you now only have to win 1 time as opposed to winning 2 times.
Playing first is also a huge thing.
Yeah.
which winning or losing your first game kind of like offsets. Because like optimally, you want to win 2 games in a row, but like besides that,
Yeah.
if you lose game 2, you want to have gone first 2 times.
Yeah, totally.
So
100%.
it's huge.
Yep. What other things? Let me look at the other points that he made.
I mean, overall, just
Do you make all the expected meta decks and test against them? So that is something that we do here, but it's
quote unquote.
it's more the fact like we have a large enough play group and we're all not trying to diversify each other.
Correct.
That everybody has to kind of spread out and find their flavor. And there's a lot of like calling dibs and such. Like
Yeah.
Jake's already called dibs on Ivy, and I've called dibs on Nightmare or X, depending on how I'm feeling. Which I don't even know if I'm gonna play either of those.
And I called dibs on Grow
Yeah.
because that character is really sweet.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, like, the fact that we have a large play group, yes, we kind of do that. But at the same time, we're not necessarily going back and testing, hey, is Asimov and Katarina good right now? Hey, is Ed9 good right now?
Yeah.
Hey, is Vicious good right now? Like, we don't go back and, like, really test all that, especially when it comes to the old age of UFS. We
Yes.
definitely don't go back and I have not fought a Ringman in a very, very long time. I have not fought Dr. Wily 2 Dot in a very long time. And Soul Calibur is going to make Death Dr. Wily, I think, playable at a C level, playable at a B- level, just because of the cool stuff that we got.
Yeah. There are definitely certain characters that I have a soft spot for that I will go back and make with every new set, like Ringman. I went back and remade Ringman when Street Fighter vs. Darkstalkers came out. I'm probably going to do it at some point after Soul Calibur comes out because all weapons is just insane.
Yep.
But
Like, why would you play that when you can play something else? That's what I'm saying.
I would play that when I over something else because I can play Guilty Throne on a 4 with 1-3.
Sure.
And I think that's just insane.
Insane.
Yeah. Being able to play it first on a 6 or second on a 4.
But what I'm saying is like, is that, and I'm going to use the word gimmick, is that gimmick good enough? Like, is it worth going back and trying to find these old characters when it comes to world testing? We have, and we're living in a new age, not to use the quote, but power creep, cash grabbed world. Why would you go back to that character?
Because some characters, they're like fine wine. They get better over time. Like when you play a character that's old and they get new support and you find a new deck for them and new things to do, sometimes they get better as characters. Like, especially the more generic ones like Ringman. At the end of the day, Ringman will always say, I get 1-3 on my next attack and it gets -3 difficulty. And then when you play your second attack, I get a draw card. Like, that's probably one of the most generic things you can do under his 3 symbols, which is evil, life, all. Like, that's what all weapons wants to do. It wants to play 1,000,000 attacks in a turn under a generic character that pumps stats.
Man, I hate the all symbol. It's so lame.
It is.
All symbol doesn't do anything.
It just flings attacks at you over and over until you die.
So lame. What do I do? Okay, so here, let's jump into the real nitty gritty. If I have now decided on a deck, and I believe we talked about deck polishing last week, so check out that episode. When I wanna take and I wanna really figure out the deck and am I gonna play this or not, I make a list of every match that I have, and I say what my record is versus that match and what won me or lost me the match. So, like, I'm playing my Fey deck and I'm fighting Katana. Well, Katana, I got 2-1, and the reason I won that game is because poke damage with reversals. And I'll put that in notes on my phone.
Yeah.
And I'll keep that information, I'll keep that stat, and I'll look through the list and go, am I losing more than I'm winning? Am I winning more than I'm losing? And what's causing that to happen? In my lose pile, am I losing because I suck? Am I losing because their deck's too good? Because like going and playing your deck perfectly and it just not being strong enough is grounds enough to not run the deck.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally fine for your deck to do in fish bowling and in beating up like bad locals. or beating up inexperienced players. I'll put it that way instead. It's a really easy way to give you that false sense of confidence.
Yes.
I did that with my first event. I played Nightman because I thought the character was cool, and I went and I wanted to be competitive, and I ended up being demolished. I was at the last table 2 times during that event.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything but a bye. Yeah, it was really hard, but like I thought my deck was good, but I did not do the proper amount of testing.
Yeah. I mean, overall, just have confidence. Like, obviously you want to shoot for that 50% or higher win rate, but you need to have confidence in your choices and what you're choosing to play. It's okay to take advice and opinions from others, but there's a difference between getting advice and opinions and people shoving their own opinions down your throat. So just be confident in your own choices.
To dovetail on that, it is totally rad. You should get the opinions of every single person that you can. Every single person that you feel comfortable sharing your deck list with or asking their opinion or whatnot. You should get that opinion.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean you have to take it.
Correct.
Hey, you should change your symbol entirely. Well, I don't know about that. I don't think I'm going to do that. But, I mean, it's as long as you take it and you don't throw it off as, like, the world's worst idea, like, as long as you understand and
Yeah.
try and get where they're coming from, I think that's totally helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Any last minute things you want to talk about? Sean, if we didn't do this topic justice, let me know on Patreon, and we'll revisit it again. But that's really what I do, is I take and I make lists and I theorize with other people, and I ask people, hey, will you make a version of this deck for me and see what your ideas are?
Yeah.
And then 6 hours of playtesting every day.
Yep.
6 hours.
Systematical.
6 whole hours. And you got to play against every single deck that you can.
Exactly.
You play one match, and then you take your opponent's mat and you flip it off, and you're like, I need a new deck versus right now. I got to fight something new.
Know your meta.
Yeah. And if you're playing correctly, you should get that in that 6 hours. You should be able to fight 6 different decks and time them out at 59 minutes. That's another thing I do when I test. All right, we're jumping in. And I was goofing on you, but I actually test playing 45-minute matches. Because if I can't kill you in 45, I want the game to be over. I want to have lost.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to play in the time.
Yep.
Time should be. It's so that like I'm trying to make my plays a little quicker in practice, so that I'm not trying to overthink things when I'm in tournament.
Yeah.
So I have that 15-minute buffer. I think that's actually really important. Play the clock. Whenever you practice for any event, you should play with a timer. There were games that I was playing with James Stevens when he was playing his life Jackie deck, that we would actually play like a 3-hour game, like a game for 3 hours, and I was just like, well, I'm never doing this with you ever again. You have 45 minutes to play your game. All right, let's play. If you can't kill me in 45 minutes, it was a draw and you lost, because draws are losses in a major.
Mm-hmm.
You can't draw at all.
Mm-hmm.
You won't make it. You won't make it.
Yeah.
Anything else? Sorry, that was a very fun rant at the very end.
No.
So with that, we're gonna move on to our fourth topic of the week. This one's gonna be a doozy. It's gonna be fun.